Hey Josh, it's Tuesday, and I know that this is a late one, but my pre-calc final is tomorrow, so I've been studying a bit for it. Just a little bit. Anyway, to answer your question from Friday, honestly, I'd be honored to. I'm gonna have to be doing a bit of, I guess, research into how to go about doing so. Mom said told me the basics of it, so I'm gonna start working on all of that after my final tomorrow. Probably, I'm definitely gonna be working on it though. So yes, I would be honored to be your best man. But so instead of talking about finals this week, because I don't want to stress about that anymore. Instead, I'm going to be giving you I guess, small little update on, I know that it might get a little boring, but on my Dungeons & Dragons realm that I'm making of Desmondus. I got a text. Anyway, so I believe that the last time I was talking about it, I just had kind of the general not mythos, the geography. Yeah, the geography of it. And I've worked a little bit on it here and there. I've mostly been focusing on my math, though, so I haven't gotten too much farther. I got a couple of sheets here in front of me that I got before this, but yeah. So I gave the general idea of the geography of the world. I won't bore you with the details of the first town, except for the fact that my two main stores are called Oh My Cod and Leave It To Me. Because why not? It was funny. Anyway, but uh, instead, since I've been talking about it a bit in our group chat for our for your campaign. Just some general history is probably what I'll put in for this. Yeah. So the general history of Desmondus, basically in ancient times, or in like the ancient times, the way that I'm visualizing it, Desmondus was actually mostly land rather than mostly water. Desmondus was mostly land at its creation. The ancient temples are proof of this. I have four main ancient temples that are the only things that have, or the only things of the ancient times that have almost completely survived what I am calling the flood, because it sounded cool. Proof of this? Not many know the reason for the flood. That made the land mostly into mostly ocean. But the most popular theory in the world is that the ocean was created by a closeness to the plane of water. Many portals opened up into Desmondus for some reason that I'll get to eventually in the writing. Um, but some portals opened up and just completely changed the ecosystem. And like I said, there are four known temples, and the kingdoms the ancient kingdoms are mostly underwater, but they surround what were these temples. And the four temples are the ancient temples of the sea, the mountain, the cloud, and the magma. Guess where I got those ideas from. It's I'm really wanting to focus a lot on the idea of the elemental planes because I think that's really cool. It's a cool idea to do some planescape, I think is what it's called. Because it's Dungeons and Dragons, like that's the whole point, is that you're supposed to go to different planes of existence for some for some god-placed reason. But so each temple, or so yeah, that yeah. Oh yeah, there's also it's not that those are the only 4 temples. Sorry, I was just catching up to where I was in here. Those aren't the only 4 temples. There are a bunch of other ones, but they're mostly unnamed and not much is known about them. Because they're mostly submerged, so not many races are able to get to them. There's a few races that are able to, but not that many. Well, not that many that would actually care. But, each temple is surrounded by the ruins of an old kingdom. The one that surrounds the Temple of the Sea is called Aquimos. Aquimos. The Temple of the Mountain is Teralum, is the name of the kingdom. The Temple of the Cloud is Ventimal, and the Temple of Magma is Pyrosea. Guess where I got those names from? I'm using a lot of kind of Latin. I'm kind of using just some Latin prefixes, like aqua, terra, ventus, and pyra are the water, earth, air, and fire. If I remember correctly from my, what was that, like a quarter, or like a quarter of Latin that I took. But I don't know. I just saw that it was. I just really like Latin. I use it for a lot of things, like the general idea of it. I don't use plain out Latin because I don't know Latin. That's your realm. I know some German, but German doesn't sound as cool as Latin. So hey. But yeah, another really cool thing, or at least I think it's kind of cool, that I added in was that there was a dialect from the ancient times known as Desmodin, and the way that I imagine it, it's like how Anglo-Saxon and German are similar but different. And Desmondin is a dialect of Promoidian, Promoidian. Um, so my general idea is that anyone that speaks Promoidian can understand Desmondin, but it would be slightly out of order. Like it might not add up completely, but that's the general idea. So that's kind of the general idea of that. I also have some factions that I've worked on, but I'm running out of time, and I have quite a few factions here. So I'll just leave it here. So Josh, my question for you is, what do you think of my world so far? Like I said, I am kind of like I've said, I am shamelessly stealing it from your campaign slightly, with it being covered in water. But I'm trying to make it as much of my, I'm trying to make it as much of my own as I can, just because I thought that idea was pretty interesting of you, having it covered by water. So yeah, that'll do for this video. So Josh, I will see you on Friday. Later, bro.